the signing of the peace agreement promising to run peaceful campaigns. Well, presidential candidate of Action Alliance, Hamza Al-Mustafa, was at the signing of that peace pact and joins us now on Newsnight. So thank you so much for joining us on Newsnight tonight. First off, what do you make of that whole event? Do you really take it seriously? Is it some sort of charade, or do you think it's just something we just have to do for the sake of it?
Well, first of all, this is my first time appearing at it, and it gave us the opportunity to meet ourselves alongside, meaning candidates, alongside party chairmen and spokespersons of parties and campaign organizations. We also met notable Nigerians who organized it, including their partners from outside Nigeria, particularly from Europe. That meeting in itself alone, and then with the messages from INEC and the police in terms of the expectations of every party and a candidate, speaks for itself. That meeting in itself, and to any serious-minded person, knowing the state of Nigeria today alone, that sends the right message to know what is expected of every party and candidate. The signing and the content or the messages of the signing in itself also is another. But I am taking it serious, and I know there are the candidates I have spoken to. I think I went round and shaking hands with almost everybody. I know very well each and every one that I know from the interactions we have had. They are taking it serious.
All right, let's talk about some of the interactions you had at that peace accord signing. We saw in the video there, you had this I don't know what to call it, between yourself and Shore. What exactly was that about? What was that encounter about?
I think he was there far ahead of me. He arrived ahead of me, and I discovered he was next to me. So I went round to greet everybody, and I greeted him as usual. But younger brother he bared his mind over his grudges over the past governments, and then his expectations of me while we were in government that I didn't do. So that was right. He has every right to say so. I have respect for him. He's a young man. He is full of energy. For him to have come forward seeking to provide leadership to Nigeria, and him respect. If tomorrow he becomes the president, definitely he will have my support. And if on the other hand, God Almighty grant us the opportunity to be, surely he will come on board in rendering service to Nigeria. Some of us are resolved to say there should be a new beginning that is scientifically seen to be driven, not only in entrenching democracy in itself, but in having a new course for Nigeria to now take that is safe, that is real, that is accountable, that is sincere, that is strategic, as much as immediate issues that have been treated.
Talking about Shore, bearing his mind on the performance of past administration and your role as well. 2 weeks ago, you were a bit emotional about the security situation in Nigeria. Now, with your experience as the former chief security advisor to late General Sani Abacha, and again, considering the position you're vying for at the moment, I'm really curious to know what sort of security architecture would you prefer to resolve Nigeria's insecurity problem, rather Nigeria's terrorism that's actually bedeviling the country at the moment?
Well, thank you so much for this question. It's sensitive, and I thank you for it. You see, looking at security from the perspective that I hear most people talk about is a fundamental mistake. You will end up repeating the same thing and wasting time and wasting Nigeria's time. An insurgency that you do not understand where the valve is for you to puncture it through and terminate it. Definitely at the end of the day, you'll just be going around pouring water on a stone. You'll be busy wasting people's time and your own time. So once there is any insurgency, primarily, the mistake is the fact that many people across the world, not only in Nigeria, professionals around the world believe that all insurgencies are the same. In the laboratory of management of insurgencies around the world, there is not, and can never be identical insurgencies in life.
Okay, so how do you
difficult for people to understand.
Oh, really? Help us understand that. How do you diagnose the insecurity that Nigeria faces, the terrorism and all of that, insurgency? You say there's no two similar insurgencies.
There was not.
Diagnose it for us, and you have been quoted as saying that you will fix insurgency in 6 months.
Of course.
Tell us how you're going to do that.
If we have a malaria that was, unfortunately, or if we have typhoid, unfortunately, and it was being treated for malaria, the typhoid will continue for as long as it will exist because you have not attacked it. First, you have to know what is it? When did it start? There are yardstick of numerous questions to ask. I wouldn't want to waste your time with it, but there are numerous questions. First of all, you have to establish the history of the insurgency in itself and treat it on its own merit. But the yardstick of treating it is there as standard, but then getting to know the differences between insurgency A in country C alongside your own numerous things. When you identify all these and look at the measures to contain it, on the other hand, the fundamental thing you will look at is what was the genesis of the insurgency in itself. Then you now sit down and keep that aside. On the other hand, you now bring out a template to see what are those things promoting it. Is it at home or from outside?
That's what we want to know.
Yes, is it at home or from outside? I'm coming.
Great.
Then when you look at these three issues, then you can now sit down and look at yourself. What have you been doing with it that you wasted this much time? Unless you now take it and have a research in it, and then put all these three issues and looking at yourself, you have not started, you are wasting your time. As far as the present insurgency is concerned, I have been saying that it all started from 1st November 1999. The question is, why?
Why?
How old is it? You see, as Nigerians, unfortunately, we are yet to know who we are. And it's in not knowing who we are and in managing who we should be seen to be.
Can you walk us down history lane when you say it started in 1999?
Yes,
what triggered it?
Yes, I was in prison 1st November 1999 when it all started. There are some sensitive things I wouldn't want to say here temporarily, but I will tell you because I've said it in some certain places. The resources God has given this country is what started the insurgency in Nigeria. As far back as 1995, some of us put this country on technical supervisory researches in trying to know what is kept where by God Almighty in Nigeria. You see, that's why it disturbs some of us when we hear some people say Nigeria is poor, Nigeria is borrowing huge amount of money, and we are going around some certain cycles, calling names, and then not coming up with new initiatives, not becoming creative in terms of creating wealth from within or from outside. All the time I have had all governments that came and passed, including the one I served, the opportunities of creating wealth from outside was what I never heard of. And it exists, it's there. For you to now keep this country afloat as one of the richest on earth. And that's why the pains of knowing where Nigeria is today gave some of us the push, the energy to now have gone around some certain countries around the world, because I started it since 1995 in knowing some certain things that God Almighty has kept hidden in Nigeria, in all our zones.
Okay, so I'll let you land on that. I mean, there's so much we need to pack in. Now, you want to rule Nigeria 7 years after leaving prison. Do you think the clouds that hung over your role in the Abacha administration and the events that followed, that led to your imprisonment, do you think those clouds have cleared in a way that Nigeria and Nigerians can say and look at you and say, look, Al-Mustafa, retired major, can actually lead Nigeria? Why do you want to rule Nigeria?
I believe I have all it takes to provide leadership for this country. My experience and the knowledge of this country in itself is another. The in-depth research we have done for 5 years, 8 months now, and then the discoveries we came up with is not what money can buy, and we are holding it to our chest. And the issue of the propaganda I went through yesterday on the role of keeping General Abacha's government afloat, I will always hit my chest to say, if only Nigerians have gotten to know the findings of the Joint Intelligence Bureau of the whole country, including private intelligence bodies around the world that were there to terminate the government of General Abacha himself and all of us. And then we were succeeded in holding on against 8 coups. On the 8th coup, that was when General Abacha was killed. We held on to that. So Nigerians have not gotten to know what exactly happened and how we went through.
So you're saying he had a true vision for
You
the
asked
country?
me a question.
Yes,
Let me, because it's a very vital question.
All right.
Holding on to a government or holding on to keep government afloat is something. My role and the anger of some certain people on me was simply because we played role in keeping a government. I was a soldier. I was sworn to oath of allegiance, oath of commission, oath of office. I held on to that. I have never betrayed oath. I will never ever betray oath. It doesn't matter what. It doesn't matter the situation. I'm not that type of a soldier. See. The worth of a soldier in any given country is his character, is his mind, is his attitude, his commitment and loyalty to his country. Some of us, we have taken oath to say we are loyal to Nigeria, and we have done it, and we will do it forever.
Well, not to make this about late General Sani Abacha, are you saying that all the late general did for this country was in the best interest of the country?
You ask me a question.
Yes.
All you have to do, if the question is sensitive, allow me answer it first. I went through propaganda established by a court of law. I was kept away for 15 years. I was in solitary detention for 5 years, 2 months. I was tortured beyond what you can describe as a journalist in a quick time. The fact that you see me the way you see me is a miracle on its own. I'm back on my feet is by the grace of God Almighty. I'm here. I appeared before 14 justices or judges, including magistrate courts in Lagos, all put together in 15 years. 14. Have you ever heard of such a thing? Have you ever had a thing where you are tried without proof of evidence, without list of witnesses, just kept there, and at any given time something happens? They will now terminate your stay from one court and shift you to the other. While that was going on, and I was not meeting anybody outside, papers were told to write whatever was detected to them.
And I was kept.
And then there was a writing team that was misinforming Nigerians about us. The me you see is the me that was.
And I'm asking
you see, all we say is
that's why we need to seize this opportunity to clear the air.
Speaks.
Right.
I challenge you by saying this. Yes. Take a look at my records in the army. I have never ever committed an offense.
Again, I'm going back to the same question.
I want you to conduct a research.
I'm going to go back to the same question.
As a cadet even, I have never ever been found wanting to commit an offense.
Everything
and it's a real thing. It's a real
Everything you're saying comes down to one point, and that's the point you made earlier. You stand by what you did. And again, I do not want to make this interview about the late general. Yeah. And I'm saying, are you saying here right now that everything the general did while in power was for the interest of the country?
Yes, I know that.
You're saying yes to
Yes, I know that.
In spite of the benefit of hindsight.
Hold on.
Okay.
Propaganda that is not dissected is believed by the listener. Propaganda that is sold to the media is believed by him that narrated it. Propaganda that is sold and agreed as a contract is accepted and assimilated by the disseminator, who now punctured all that happened. You see, there is what is called psychological warfare. Psychological warfare is a scheme of winning your opponent before even the war started. This aspect of it was what the enemies of General Abacha put together, cooked, along with his enemies from outside Nigeria that did it together. See, a time will come to say there is the need to x-ray General Abacha's government head to toe, and I am an advocate of that. What were those things General Abacha was confronted with? That's not what I'm talking about. General Abacha has ruled and left. Documents are there. All these services, all ministries, all parastatals served with him.
But you see, the problem is every Nigerian cannot have access to the documents that you refer to.
You have, information of...
yes, freedom of information.
Of course.
We know about all
Search for it, get it.
We know about all of that, but we need you to seize this opportunity to clear the air on so many issues, including the death, the unfortunate death of MKO Abiola. Nigerians do need closure so that you can confidently actually run for this presidency.
I'm not stopping you.
Right.
I faced numerous panels.
Yeah.
When eventually they allowed me to talk was 3 years after they arrested me, and after they have paid money to numerous papers and magazines to be abusing me on daily basis. What was printed in the night, radio and television will echo it in the morning. And I never had any opportunity to talk. Up until when Oputa panel started, the entire country believed Mustafa was one hell of a giant who could not even write his name. I was busy printing my name.